Yeah, now stand and cheer for your Talking Basketball Podcast.
Hello and welcome to another edition of Talking Basketball Podcast. I am Mark.
I am Paul. Hello.
He's on the buttons again. He's thinking about it. Let's
do this.
He's executed. Oh, it's gone back up again. Anyway, thank you very much for listening in to another edition of Talking Basketball Podcast. As I said, I am Mark. And we're going into SLB Week 3, but also the semi-finals of the SLB Trophy, Paul.
Yeah.
It was a little confusing.
We got to stop right there. SLB breaking news. Like literally as I was walking in the studio, I was like, holy crap.
I know what you're going to say.
You got this in your thing?
Mr. Kristen. And
Yes.
yes.
So, and this is what I hate about UK basketball.
This stuff is great. It's not actually Vimto, but this stuff is great, by the way.
What is it?
It's a drink. It's Vimto.
Oh.
But it's like raspberry, orange, and passion fruit.
There you go.
There you go. Totally recommend
If you
that.
want to have a drink, buy Vimto.
Why not?
Not sponsored by them
No, you can sponsor us.
yet.
But not yet.
Anyway, look, this is what I can't stand about UK basketball is when they put out these blanket statements that have no information about it whatsoever.
I knew you were going to jump on that.
So Cheshire Phoenix have just put this statement out.
Yeah.
It is with regret that the club have parted ways with Taj Teague and Cam Christen with immediate effect due to a serious breach of club rules. The club would like to place on record our thanks to both players for their efforts at the club. The club is now working hard to identify replacements and will share an update in due course. This is why the SLB is not as big in this country as it is. Now imagine this was Premiership football, yeah?
Yep.
Everyone would be all on it.
Yep.
Someone would be going, this is what's happened.
Oh, yeah, of course, yeah.
And we'd be talking about it. But look, you've got two huge players available to the rest of the league, depending on what this is. And again, it's all this.
It's all to do with something against club conduct, wasn't it?
Yeah,
against the code of club conduct.
And the stupid thing is, it's all now conjecture. I'm thinking two things.
I reckon they were doing when you get the towel and you whip each other in the showers.
Look, there was either a serious fight, and they were tag teaming, or they were going up against each other. Wait, what? Why did you just spit your drink out everywhere? And I said tag team.
I went to a different place.
Wow.
Oh, wait. Could have been. You never know.
And look, this is all conjecture, what I'm about to say. Oh. Yeah? This is all conjecture.
Does this need a warning of some
And
sort?
yeah, where's the snowflake one? Oh, it's not on this. It's on this one. Look, that's my snowflake warning. If you get upset with normal conversation, turn off now.
Oh, God.
But breach of club rules.
Yeah.
And again, I'm going to say this again.
Yeah.
Because we get highlighted all the time. You have to say allegedly, and all these things all get done for criminal courts and all that, whatever it is.
Yeah. Allegedly.
So I'm not saying allegedly because no one knows. However, breach of club rules. I'm assuming, and I have no information, no contacts, that there is been a punch up, or they've beaten someone up, or maybe they've been doing something else, like smoking outside. It's got to be something like that, isn't it? And they've just gone, that's not the role model we want for the club. Boom. But I think that's the way I looked at it. They've gone, that's not role model material at Cheshire Phoenix. Gone. That's what I'm assuming. But again, no one talks about it. It's almost like this little dark cloud comes over and then shh. And then people within that inner circle start talking about it. And then everyone a few years later, oh yeah, that's what happened. You know what? They should be screaming about this now.
Tajai Teague
and
Cam Christen.
Taj Teague, I think it is.
I know, but they weren't small players for Cheshire.
If you want a drink, This is what you want to go for.
Oh God!
The choice of a new generation. Anyway,
Who famously did Pepsi?
Elvis.
What basketball player famously did Pepsi?
I was going to say Wayne from Wayne's World.
Shaq.
Yeah,
Shaq.
it's the best one, I think.
Boom shakalaka.
Anyway, yeah. So we don't know what's happened, but imagine. And again, I'm not saying this is what's happened, but imagine they were doing drugs or something outside and the club got rid of them.
Allegedly,
That
no
would
idea.
be great.
No.
That would be great news, wouldn't it? Any news is good publicity for the league. Because look, in this instance, if they were doing that,
Sorry,
if they
said if they were doing drugs, that would be great news.
because the league's got rid of them. So the league's gone, the team's gone, this is the standard. Boom, you're done.
I would envisage, given how they, like you said, the rhetoric of this whole, we all communicate together and we all do one voice, I'd envisage this was a short, sharp, there's a one communication, and then there will be maybe a following up communication, because they did the same thing, if you remember, with...
But they wait for it to die down, don't they? It all dies out, and then it's like, okay, this is...
Ovisoko, when they did it with his... When he got... So that happened like in October, November, and they only announced that at the beginning of December, and you go, that's an awfully long time. Normally it goes to the panel and within the week. I mean, Christ, think of Formula One. They go to the stewards after the race, like, mate, doesn't matter if you won or not, up you go to the headmaster's office, we'll have a chat up there.
Yeah.
That's like straight away, but for some reason they just let it all die down and let it all go away.
It's like news when they publish, like they'll publish something and then they'll put a redaction in 2 months later in the middle of the paper and on page 15, really small.
It shows some of the challenges that the SLB have for trying to get reach. And like you said, this is one of the things that you go...
Shout about it,
because any news is good news to get it. Right, so Paul and I we're going through the path with some affiliations for stuff to bring you some opportunities for all of you lovely listeners. And we were talking about, what type of affiliate we'd want to be associated with, because you have to choose who you want to affiliate with, etc. and stuff. And Paul was actually chatting with people who I can say this. There were people who were in the gambling world, and I was actually looking at this like in parallel with this. And what was really shocking, you couldn't place a bet on an SLB game.
You can or can't?
Can't.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I looked on one and I was like, oh, I could.
Was that on? Yeah. Okay. Was that on the days of the week? It's it's the company who own a very well-known northern team, I believe.
I don't know.
Yeah. Anyway, yes. So it's a UK company, but
what I would say, they don't really know what they're looking. I'm looking, going, you think Manchester are about to beat Sheffield Sharks?
Yeah, and these
in
are
Sheffield. Like, are you serious?
Yeah, but I went on most of them. Most of them you can't place a bet. And that one that you're talking about, had today when I looked, 8 teams in the league. I was thinking that's interesting because I'm sure there's 9.
Oh.
It didn't have Manchester written in the league on for something for betting. No, I wondered if it was because Manchester were the last minute thing, weren't they, that they actually finally confirmed in. They also have one of them down. It's Caledonia. I have them down as Glasgow Rocks.
And that must be something old.
Yeah, but it's written down as something old, but it's all the modern games. It's all the modern fixtures. So I'm guessing that they've put it in there and it's just not been updated.
The one I looked at...
Because Glasgow Rocks is...
It was...
Caledonia Gladiators, but...
It was and it wasn't Bet 364.
Okay, yep.
It wasn't that, but it's very close. That's what I went on, and you can see it. But yeah, not that I have placed a bet.
No.
Because I'm not really
into
that.
None of the other ones recognise Super League basketball that you can put a bet on. And the only ones that did had British Basketball League listed, and they would go back to something like 2021, which I just thought was really interesting. You go,
they're not up to date. They don't understand it.
No,
that's why.
What happened in 2021?
They would lose money, I think.
What was 2021? 777 injection. When that happened, they all suddenly dropped off. So I wondered if there might have been a caveat saying, because they're American, they maybe couldn't have gambling and financials associated, because there is laws in America about stuff like that. So it could have been. But I just found it really interesting that a lot of those were dropped off then. And I'm just going to be honest. If you want to get someone fevered and people excited about something, you say, let's make this game of golf interesting. £10 a hole. What you do, you're gambling on it. Now, I'm not advocating gambling to anyone, so you've got to be responsible with stuff like that. But all sports, it's proven, they all have the gambling in the back end, and there's a massive whole thing about it. People get involved in the teams and watching the teams and watching the games. They don't actually care about the teams, but they care about the outcomes because they're gambling. And you go, well, that in itself's a thing. Nowhere on the web. Anyway. Yeah. So there's only the one.
Where were you going with this? Because you were about to say something to the listeners. You were saying about, were you going to ask them what ones type of things they would like us to do?
Well, yeah.
Where were you going? That's where it sounded like you were going.
Because the thing was, we were thinking like we can do all these other things. Obviously, we've had Michael Jordan phone us up and he's like, guys, you're amazing. Like, thanks. Not interested, Mike.
Talking about Michael Jordan. The greatest of all time. We do have a GOAT.
We do.
Confirmed coming on the show.
Confirmed GOAT. Yep.
And that is coming up. We're recording that next week. Maybe around Christmas that's going to go up. But
that'd be great.
I'm not going to go into any details because I've done this before and I've shot myself in the foot. But we have got an NBA all-time great.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No
coming
question
on the show.
No question at all. No question at all. You'll recognise them for sure. But yeah, all I wanted to ask everyone is if we do have affiliations, do you actually use the links that people ever put down? Do you ever buy any stuff with affiliate links?
So email ukbasketballpodcast@gmail.com and Mark will read it.
And I'll forward it to Paul and then I'll let him deal with it.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. Can I just say as well, because for our listeners, when you're looking at the fixtures and you're looking at the scores and stuff, and this is where I'm gonna slam the SLB.
Slam.
It's just a bit slow getting it. Now, if you go to flashscore.co.uk.
Oh, that's the one you said, wasn't it? Yeah.
It's so much easier. Now, look, let me show you that. That's the league table.
Yeah, that's the one.
Look how much better it is. Looking
it's
at
the
that.
same one they use in TNT.
Yeah. So flashscore.co.uk. The fixtures come up quicker, but they're also a bit more condensed. So you see more fixtures, and then you go to the result. Bam! You see the result. Bam! You see the. It's so much easier. So flashscore.co.uk. That is how I look at all the SLB stuff. But I do go on the website. But that's what I use for fixtures and league.
Well, if you do go on the website, or you do go on one of these stores, what are you going to see sitting top of the table this week, Paul?
Sheffield Sharks. We're going straight into that.
Let's just get straight into
Look,
it.
what a good week for Sheffield when you got 2 games in the Shark Tank.
So that's hard. I think that's hard. They had everyone had games this week on the 6th or the 8th, and so there was five games between the 2 days. And the fact that they had a double header, Sheffield had double headers, and so did also Bristol and Cheshire. They had double headers as well, playing against themselves respectively. But
these are professional basketball players. They can play on a Friday and a Sunday.
I know, but that's tough, especially when you consider what they're playing against. Anyway, but
look, you've put a spoiler out there. Look, Sheffield, There's daylight at the top. Not that it means anything at this early stage in the league, but there's daylight at the top. So what are you doing? You cracking on with Caledonia?
Yeah, let's go straight into it.
Shoot, what happened, mate? What happened?
What do you mean, what happened?
You going to talk about it?
Yeah. Sorry, the way you said it, like, what happened?
Shoot.
Oh, right.
Shoot.
Yeah, I am. I'm going straight to it.
Wait for the gap. Shoot.
Wait for the gap. So I thought it was good because this was Robbie Pears. That was his first Caledonia game, wasn't it, as coach?
Yes. Did you see the sword he had on his?
I'm not sure if I like that
suit?
or not.
It's I don't know. It reminded me of what you would see on a kilt, like a Scottish sword pin that you would see on a
Well, they
kilt.
have the Titan on the kit, don't they? So I'm assuming it may be connected. But
Yeah.
I wasn't overly sure about that.
I thought it was amazing. What a legend. It was massive. It was almost like a claymore sword, wasn't it? Like,
But it is a claymore, isn't it?
yeah.
Yeah. So look, Caledonia got a new lineup.
When that team comes out, they should come out. They should have William Wallace lookalike coming out. Freedom!
Yes.
Coming out with that claymore sword.
Paint that Scottish heritage of everyone running around with a blue and white face.
All the bagpipes going off and all the drum. And now you're Caledonia Gladiator.
I'll be honest, it was an okay game. It was very clear that the Sharks just dominated that absolutely from the start. And Caledonia, they just got a new lineup, new coach. They just didn't look like a team that had any cohesion really whatsoever. But definitely Donovan Clay, 23 points for the Sharks, 8 for 16 shooting.
The mid-season signing.
8 for 16 shooting. That's pretty good.
He's a pretty physical guy, isn't he?
Yeah. And Princeton Awas, you got to say, 18 points, getting 7 rebounds for Caledonia. He did a pretty good job. But again, if you go back last season and think of the big names and the big hits that team provided, they've all gone. And it's a bit like what they've seen with Lions. There's a lot of the teams in what was the BBL now to the SLB. There's a lot of big names that have just disappeared. And you go, wow, I would never have thought last year I'd see Caledonia struggling the way they are at the moment. They're not a cohesive team. I mean, this is December and they're literally starting again, basically.
Yeah, but in fairness to Caledonia, they lost by 15.
Yeah.
The Sharks were killing them at half time.
Oh, they took their foot off the gas.
But the Gladiators did a lot better in the second half. Like, the Sharks, 58 points the Sharks scored in the first half. That then got reduced to 38 in the second half.
Yeah.
But look, the work was done in the first half of the Sharks.
I think they took their foot off. It felt like they took their foot off. The pace of the game.
I don't know. I felt
So this week,
Caledonia were just changed things in the second half.
So watching all these games this week, in the back of my head, all I was thinking of is you talking about the tactics of all of the games. Because it seemed that Sheffield had a tactic for how they wanted to run the game. And with some of the other games that we've had, it seems that tactics played an absolutely key role in what was happening. Whereas other ones, it's been like athleticism and who's just running and gunning. But this week seemed all about the strategy of the game.
Yeah. And I'm glad you brought up Donovan Clay. So, like, he's a great mid-season signing, 23 points, 9 rebounds. My notes where he looks like he's my kind of player, physical.
Oh.
He moves that maybe a little awkward sometimes, but maybe
Stiff.
maybe it's just not match fitness yet. I loved his interview at the end of the game. He just came across really genuine. Like, do you know when you hear people being interviewed and it's like, it was a great team performance, and you see it. Just turn on Sky Sports.
I'm literally rolling back in my brain trying to think which one it was.
But but he was kind of pumped up. He was going from side to side.
Oh yeah,
and he was
yeah.
talking, and then he kind of went, "Hang on, wait. I just want to thank God."
Yeah.
And then he went back to his thing, and he was like, "But he just came across a real genuine guy.
He was in it.
Real
He was in that
genuine guy,
moment.
and I like that. And it was a different interview from the normal ones you see in other
Thank you very
sports
much.
where it's like it's the routine talk. He started saying things that were different, but
It reminds me of the is it what's the film? Bedazzled? Is that the film where
yes, the guy from
Brendan
Mummy.
Fraser? Yeah, Brendan Fraser. And he plays that basketball player, and he goes, we got the game, and we got the game, we got it, and he just rattles off this thing, and it's just like, what are you saying? It's just nonsense. But you go, and he plays a basketball player, but.
So no, he came across really good.
So I've got
an all-round good performance from the Sharks.
So we're going to stay on them.
Can you just highlight the new imports though? So what I did, talk about the new imports from the Gladiators, and that's where I started to see a little bit of spark. Elijah Kane. It's got to be Elijah Kane. He contributed 15 points, 5 rebounds. But yeah, for the Gladiators, Robbie Pears stole the show with his sword pin.
Yeah, but look, if your first game with the coach and you're taking over in that situation, you really got to look at that and think, well, okay, fair enough. I'm rebuilding. And what a base to rebuild from. You know, Caledonia's got a great following and everything, so we wish them all the best of luck. But look, I want now from you talk about the Shark Tank. What happens when the Sharks get a double? What's that called? There's got to be a name for that. You need to think of a name. Because the Sharks, they've just owned this weekend, didn't they? They not only took on the Gladiators, 2 days later they took on Surrey, didn't they?
Double KO. Double kill.
Double kill. Sharks get a double kill.
Sharks got the double kill.
Double kill.
Double KO.
But they weren't done, were they? That's the thing. It's like, we've drawn blood. We're not done. We want more. Days after that, the Sharks made the double win victory. 93-85. I had to check that twice because I put it down there and I thought it felt like the game was a little bit further apart than that.
See, I felt the opposite.
Really?
I felt it was a lot tighter than that.
Maybe it's because, I'm not saying not the pacing of the game, but it seems that the game sort of did this.
Yeah, no, I agree. But first of all, I love to see Jalen Ray back for the Surrey 89ers. Last time he played for Surrey, they were called Surrey Scorchers, and that was in 2022, 2023. He's just an absolute hustler and a baller. And I think last time he was always averaging around 16, 17, 18, 19 points, something like that. Yeah. And even at the start of the game, he was in the zone. Lloyd Gardner was trying to say something to him, said something to him. He was listening, but he was like, I'm in the zone, like I'm locked in. And look, I mean, he contributed 17 points, so it was good to see him back.
Prentice Nixon, though, you've got to give it with him with the Sharks.
Yeah.
Like same as last season, 22 points in this case, 8 rebounds and 7 assists. But did you know that the Sharks
almost triple double? And look, double doubles and triple doubles are very rare in this league.
The Sharks shot 50% from the field and 13 triples.
Okay.
13. That's monster, isn't it? When you look at it that way, you think, okay, that's a lot of points that you've just taken off just by hitting threes. So they've been I don't associate them with hitting threes, but I need to sort of rewire a bit on the Sharks because they're clearly. I thought they were going to get off to a really good start this year, and then in the trophy they just didn't quite get to where they needed to be.
Yeah.
So maybe they were just focusing on the championship because they are doing something right at the moment.
Yeah.
And their crowd are awesome, by the way. The
Sheffield.
Sharks.
Yeah.
They're
one of the best. I'd say like you got like Caledonia, Newcastle, Sheffield, Leicester.
Yeah.
Bristol, actually.
Yeah.
Plymouth.
Who?
But they were good. But can I just say, again, double doubles, triple doubles do not happen often.
No.
And because there's 2 names, I'm not gonna shout it out. But Donovan Clay, the mid-season sign-in, he got a double-double in this game with 18 points and 10 rebounds. But also Surrey, I can never say his name. We'll have to say it slowly. For Surrey, Dame Adalukin with 12 points and 10 rebounds.
Yeah. Look, I think Surrey are better than the position they're in at the moment. That's all I'll say. I mean, you look at the moment, they're 7th in the league. I could see them being 5th.
Yeah.
They've got that potential in their team. Maybe in that top middle bit.
Yeah.
Which is better than they were last year. So credit to them. I think they just need to find a few, I'm not going to say this in a funny way, but in a game.
A spark.
You know when in the game something goes the right way for you, and you're not just getting the calls, but it's dropping.
Yeah.
And you just think, I've seen it with a couple of the Surrey games now. You
Momentum.
think, there's just that little. So when they played, was it London?
London,
and they had it, and you saw them, and you thought, this is their game. This is their game.
Everything was going.
And that's the team that they are. If they're on the game, you got to watch them. But if they just fall or just falter out, it's a thing. But I do think Sheffield have got the stronger of the teams, comparatively. So the right person won, but yeah.
Before we end this segment, Mark, I'm just going to fade this out because talking of the Sheffield Sharks, sadly this week, Graham Moore, lifetime vice president of Shark, he passed away. So it was great seeing the home crowd show their appreciation for him and all the work that he's done for Sheffield. So, let's do the same. Graham Moore.
Yeah, definitely great to see. They got the wins for him, didn't they? They got the wins for him.
Yeah. So look, the league table, Mark.
The league table. Look,
there's a little gap at the top.
There is a little gap at the top. Let's go into that championship now. That bit's done, and those two championship games have been played. So the only thing that was there on this weekend was the trophy.
Hang on, are you going to do the table? Just do the table, the championship, real quick.
Okay, we'll go through the table real quick. So look,
even though London are second in the table,
yep.
I was playing around with some stats today. London aren't obviously one of the informed teams at the moment. The informed team is Sheffield and Newcastle.
Yep. Yeah, they are. Yeah, they're the ones firing. So, reverse order, Manchester, then Caledonia, then Surrey, then Cheshire, then Bristol, then Leicester, then Newcastle, London, and Sharks are number one at the top. Go check out the points in the tables. But
everyone's losing away from home. Everyone's losing away.
Okay, so I was about to say I pulled that one up as well. It's weird, isn't it? The home advantage that's how critical it is if you're a fan that you get down and you cheer them on. Everyone thinks, does that make a difference if you scream and shout? Yeah, 100%. Yeah. Especially if you're shouting out for sweets and Haribo.
So no one will know what you're talking about.
No, and they will.
So
if they come down to the game.
In the Ports of Force, what we do is, this is National League Div 3. If the visiting team misses 2 free throws in a row, we throw out Haribo into the crowd. Can I show you something? You weren't here this week, so you missed it. But this is a National League Div 2. Yeah?
Yeah.
I'm going to see if I can get this.
Are you saying the thing that you sent me?
Yeah. Oh, can you put it up on the screen? So Div 3, we have a mascot. Here we go.
Yeah, it's quality in it.
Anyway, there you go.
Love it.
It's for the people obviously not watching that on YouTube. Not that anyone I think is watching on YouTube, but it's it was just a highlight of Blue the mascot getting everyone to get their phones out. All the lights went out and they're going back and forth and stuff like that. Championship over.
Championship
Boom.
over. So
we've covered everything.
Trophy.
The trophy.
The trophy. So we had the semi-finals this week, this weekend, and it was supposed to be both teams played on the Friday, and then both teams played on the Sunday. But one of them wasn't. But Newcastle versus the Leicester Riders, only one of their games was played. The other game's like December the 22nd or something.
Yeah, I didn't really get that. Why are you doing it sooner? Must be a fixture clash or something.
I wondered if it was to do with the NBL or there were some European games or something that they've got coming up, or
something.
It could be something to do with that. But
they've got time because it's like end of January. What, 26th of January is it?
Yeah.
The final. So,
but that annoyed me. But it annoyed me from when we were talking about the other games. But look, let's just get into that one. That was a brilliant game.
Newcastle Eagles.
Yeah.
Yeah. I said it was going to be a tight game.
So it gave me one of my highlights of the entire week. One of my highlights.
I'm not going to say it, but I've put down what I thought the best part of the game was.
Go on then, go for it. I'm going to show you mine. It will not be what you think it is.
Oh, you show it to me then.
All right. Okay. So this for me was my highlight of the week. Now I'm hoping.
Are you getting this on the screen?
Well, I'm going to have to hold it up because it's actually on DAZN or DAZN.
DAZN.
But as we know, you can't show DAZN. So I'm going to see if this is going to show on Le Tablette.
For the people on the podcast, I will do an audio review of what Mark is showing on his screen.
I'm just going to see if this is going to work now. It should do. Come on.
While we're waiting for Mark. I know he's there. You there? While we're waiting for Mark, for people. Oh no, he's there now.
Those kids.
Oh, those kids. Yeah.
I loved it.
Yeah.
Those kids. That to me is my highlight. 100%. Because they were absolutely loving it.
They were,
and then
they were also on my highlight as well.
Oh, were they?
Yeah. So
it's just that when you see them, look at everyone who hasn't seen it yet. Look at these two little kids now. Where is it? Oh, I'll have to go find it again.
A crowd moment.
I just loved it.
Yeah, for me it was the huge.
There he is. Here he is. Look. Here he comes. Here with his little mate. There, look. Yeah. Whoever those kids are.
More importantly, that
brilliant
huge dagger.
That was massive.
From Seneca Knight. That was the play of the game.
100% player of the game. Like MVP, no question. But
my criticism of that moment for Leicester, he had a lot of time to take that shot. If you go back, he catches it. He's in lovely motion.
Oh, yeah.
He gets too much time to take that shot. But what a clutch moment for him.
So, 100%.
What a great clutch moment.
So it does also bring
If he misses that, how long's left? Like 20 seconds or something?
16 seconds on that clock.
16 seconds.
I think it was 20 seconds when he hit it at the time, yeah.
So what's this?
24 seconds when he pulls that up. If you're looking at that now. Bang. That's 20.8 seconds.
Look, if he misses that shot.
Yeah. That's huge.
Leicester have the ball down by 1.
Yeah.
It is a completely different story.
Now it's a two-play game.
Yeah, exactly. So
that was
a huge shot, but he did have a lot of time.
He had a lot of time. So this goes to my other criticism of this game. It's the same thing that we've talked about previously, and it doesn't matter whether you're watching on a TV, on a tablet, or whatever it is. For some reason in Newcastle, the quality of the picture is not as good, and it's yellow. It's really unusual. Oh. It's very, very, and I've tried it on.
There's got to be some kind of lighting there.
It's something, and so there's another one.
Mark, we're going at some point. So
but there's one of the other games had the same thing. Whereas when you go to Cheshire, it's fine.
It's bloody bright.
Exactly, sports hall. You said it last week, and I was thinking about this, and you go, that's a sports hall. Same thing. When they go to Surrey, sports hall. Bristol, sports hall. It's the same thing. They're all really, really bright.
Yeah.
So genuinely, I think in these actual big stadium things, I think it was I think it might have been the Sheffield game.
Did you say in these big stadium things, like arenas?
Yeah, but they're not. You know what I mean?
I know what you mean.
I think I think they're struggling with the picture quality. It might have been the Caledonia game.
I think it's the Caledonia. I think it's the lighting.
That's what I'm saying. I think they're struggling with it in these bigger venues, whereas in the smaller ones, they've just got loads of really big strip lights that are just focused down, and they're blind. They're almost the opposite.
I've not noticed it in that much detail.
I can't believe you haven't, because you're so critical of like lighting and that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
But it really, like, when you look at it compared to the other ones, if we did a back-to-back, you'd think, oh, what is that? It doesn't look right. So yeah, that's that.
Signed shirt by the Eagles there for last season. Right there. Boom.
Of course. But yeah, those kids, absolute highlight. And when it panned over to those crowd as well, it wasn't, although the kids
they were up for it.
Although those kids, the whole crowd, they're there, they're clapping, everyone's really enjoying it. And it's the same as some of the other games you have. I loved seeing that, and I love the fact they're showing a lot of that in the crowds this season. They're showing more of that stuff that's happening, and you go, keep doing that. Show people what the experience is of going to the game.
Well, if you look at the current form in the league at the moment.
Yep.
Sheffield and Newcastle, they're at the top.
Well, Newcastle is weird because they were. I've got it down as
Both teams are 4 for 5.
Well, I've got it down as 17 points that they were ahead. I could be wrong in that, but I got it down as 17 points they're ahead. But then in the second half, it's like they just let Leicester come back in, and I thought, is that a thing? And then they put their foot down again, and I think that was Stuttle's plan. Mark Stuttle.
Stootle's plan. I'm going to let him come back into the game.
Not come back into the game. I think he genuinely, because if you look at some of his the last few games he did it with Cheshire, I think it was last week. I won't say he puts the team in a stranglehold, but they would just, like the amount of turnovers they had and then the amount of like fumbling that you get around, you think.
I don't think that's his plan. I don't think he's going to let them come
No,
back.
not let them come back. But in that first half, it just stifled their play, and so they were forced to. They couldn't even play. Like, the Riders are a fast team, whereas Newcastle are more like set themselves up, bit of a strategy. They have plays that they clearly run. There is a process to approaching the game. Leicester or like a run and gun. That's what they rely on, and they just sort of killed that part of the game. And then Leicester had like no offense, and they're one of the best defensive teams I think on stats. And they couldn't then cope with Newcastle or the big men coming in. And was it first half offense? Newcastle outscored 38-19 in the second quarter.
Yeah.
I mean, that's insane. But then when you go to the next half, it's like, I won't say they took the pressure off.
It's a game of momentums. Like you see it all the time when someone's like, we're up by 20, think means nothing.
So Coach Rob
means absolutely nothing.
Did you, when you saw Coach Rob from the Riders, he was like walking around, like he's pacing, up and down pacing, always pacing. And you could see, I won't say him getting visibly frustrated, but he was thinking, right, let's try something else. He'd call a timeout. Then what would happen? He'd call a timeout, he'd go to something else. Try that. Didn't work. Call another timeout. He'd be like, right, let's try this. And you could see he was sitting there thinking, how do I can't work out how to get ahead here. And I think when in that third quarter they just started sort of clawing back a little bit, it was because they were almost like throwing everything at it, like just find a way to score.
Yeah.
And they, I want to say they switched to like a man, but that maybe gave them the best way to sort of like buff at Newcastle. But even then they were slowing them down. They weren't stopping them.
Look, that is a 4-point deficit. Newcastle now have to go to Leicester. Let me just quickly tell you what Leicester's home form is like. Leicester's home form.
Well, we've got to just give a shout to Zach Jackson for 24
they've only played
points.
2 games at home. Won 1, lost 1. You can't really read into that
No.
much then, can you? But look, Leicester is a loud place to go to. It's a lively place to go to. That's a tough fixture. For a 4-point deficit, that game is huge in 2 weeks.
Yeah, and that is why I was annoyed, because of, you thought, oh, wow. I thought that at one point you go, this is over. This game's over. No. And then they let them, like, I won't say let them, but then they just got scrappy and found their way back in, and you go, oh, okay. But
on the other side of the coin.
On the other side, I mean, clearly it's all about them for this week, isn't it? The soaring, high-flying Flyers.
Yes. Yeah. Evan Walsh is wearing number 77. I don't know why I picked up on that just recently. I
didn't know if it was a Luca thing.
It must be. Like it's a random number.
He's got the same kind of haircut and everything.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But yeah, so
punching their way through to the finals.
Yes.
Go on.
I was a little disappointed.
Really?
I am in the court officials.
Okay, that's interesting. I've got a note about officials, yeah.
So I think the right team won, and I'm really glad Bristol in there. I love the history. I love the coach. I love the coach, that the coach has been with them from the start. He's brought them up from
This feels like a gentle breakup.
From the depths of the National League into the BBL. I love the fact, and I'm really happy for Bristol that they're through. However, Cheshire had 21 fouls called against them. Bristol had 12. If a foul's a foul, it's a foul.
Yeah.
However, in the first game, what was it? Previous game, Cheshire had Bristol had 19 fouls, Cheshire had 22. This time, second game, Cheshire 21 fouls, Bristol 12. That is a big difference. And just looking back, there were some real questionable decisions that you just like. And, you know, I talked to a lot of the supporters for the different teams, and the Cheshire fans are upset.
Yeah.
They feel hard done by with this. And
okay, I don't think the fouls would have made a difference to the outcome, personally.
I think it would have been a lot closer, and I think the right team won. But what I would say
these are aggregate games. So in total, it was 200 to 185 with a 92-83 victory on the first leg. And then they secured it in the second leg with 108 to 102.
Yeah, like I said, I think the right team won. Yep. However, I walked away from these games with the thought that it is just worrying looking at the current standard of refereeing in the highest league in the UK.
Wow.
I don't know, that's pretty brutal. There has been some
put
really...
a snowflake on that for any refs listening. They might be sitting in there and they're quaking.
I'm not giving them a snowflake. They can come on the show and defend themselves. Look, the one thing I would say for referees, no one has the view that they have. No one has that angle that those guys have. And it is such a hard job. And it's really easy for us to sit here and look at replays and go, yeah, you should have done that. Those guys are on the court, or girls, and they got to go, bam, something happens. If not, it's too late. That moment's happened. Instant decisions they got to make. And
that's what you train for, though.
But yeah, I mean, you're supposed to be the best in the UK. And if that's what the best in the UK's got to offer, they need to work on the referees and making them, I don't know, better.
If I could play devil's advocate on that, then, just out of interest, do you think it's because the standard or the type of games that they're playing now are very competitive compared to maybe how some of the games were played previously? So now the refs have got to be like, hang on a minute, we've got to be... people are more physical in this season. There's no question of that. And people are definitely charging in a lot more.
Yeah.
That you've seen a lot of people do the sort of get the elbow in, push off and that. We saw a couple of guys, I think it was Evan Walsh did one at one point where it did something and you look at it and I was thinking, even I know that's a Luca flop. Like you're looking for that kind of maneuver there. And, take your mullet, keep running.
Wow.
And, but he was looking for that and you go, the next play came up, and you look at it and think, he then got a foul, I think, called against him. And you go, that's interesting. So my question on the fouls was, I wondered if the refs were doing that whole, I'm going to give you this one, but the next time that you come, asking for that was just by accident, you go, no, you're getting
tippy
the foul.
Tappy fouls.
Yeah.
That's what you
and it was, and it's that kind of, I'm gonna let the game play, because that's what you, as a ref, like you said, you want people to play as long as it's not dangerous. You try and let it play, but a foul's a foul at the end of the day.
Yeah, but I think Cheshire are a little hard done by, and I kind of left both those games going, is the standard of refereeing in the SLB at an all-time low?
That's hell.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
God, I thought I'm supposed to be the harsh one. Aren't me? Okay. I mean, yeah. They struggled.
Do you want to know a funny ref story?
No, I will.
This is classic, Mark.
Honestly, I don't think...
Maybe a little inappropriate.
No, if it's not inappropriate. I don't... Look,
We'll do a snowflake warning. It'll be fine.
Do a snowflake warning then.
Right,
I don't think Cheshire would have won.
I don't. Like I said, the right team won. I don't think it would have made a difference. I was more starting to focus on the referee's call and going, man, what's going on? What's going on?
Well, what I could see at the end of the second game, like the first game, and when you saw the first game, you thought, I was expecting Cheshire to be more in that first game. I thought they would be closer than to Bristol than they were. 92-83, you look at that and think...
3 referees as well.
Yeah, but it's 9 points.
Someone should see these angles. One doesn't get, when 3 don't get it, you think, what's going on?
Yeah, but in that first game, it was pretty fair. Like you said, it was like, what, 19 and 22 fouls called, I think you said?
I wrote it down.
19 and
21, 19 to 22.
Yeah, so that was the first game, pretty even. And that was a 9-point game.
21 to 12, yeah.
Yeah, so Bristol were up 9 points. And I thought... Oh, okay. I thought Cheshire would be way out for it more than that. And you could see on the sidelines Ben Thomas really being like quite agitated by the team, which I think is quite interesting. Because then, after that happened, then they go into the second game. And you could, when you saw Ben Thomas coaching on the sidelines, he was like, I think he was frustrated with his team, and you could see that frustration.
I think he's frustrated with the refs as well.
Yeah, but here's the thing. But I think he was frustrated because they weren't executing. Like, they really weren't. The shots weren't dropping. They would, you got to think, this is Cheshire, who were like the Giant Slayers last season and won the trophy over London Lions, and everyone rose them up as like the league hero because they'd made London the Voldemort, hadn't they? So because of that, this year it's like, they're not even in the trophy final. But now we've had 2 Cheshire players ejected off the team straight after this. Because of that, you go, that's...
Oh, I didn't think of it. Maybe there was an incident after the game.
This is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Where he is so... that there's clearly... They've bombed out. And they haven't done very well this season. They've been really struggling. We've talked about Skylar White sort of not quite on his shooting form. He's there, but then he's not. And they've lost a lot of players, and you think, LaQuincy Rideau, they lost obviously Aaron Rye.
LaQuincy Rideau, what a player he was.
Yeah, amazing. But you look at all those things and you think, guys, you're not the team you were last year. And he's got to be upset and frustrated with that sort of situation. But then, for this news, as you said, to break today, that those 2 players from Cheshire, they've gone.
Something's going on.
Cheshire's
and we'll find out in about 7 weeks. And it'll be like really hush-hush. But
listen,
we'll talk about it.
We've got to give a round of applause to Bristol. Because 20 years, they've been a team. And in those 20 years, they've come up, as you said, from
the depths
of the National League,
of the basement, of the National League setup.
Same coach from the very beginning of the team. He stayed there, and do you know what I loved at the end? He was going around hugging all the players. He was like, that was his win. I've got you to the final, and he was like giving everyone. He's like, "Come here, give me a hug."
His speech in the changing room was really good.
I loved it.
Well. Yeah,
it's so good, and you just think, that's a leader. You go, that's my coach. I'll
die for you on the court. Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
And that was my other highlight this week, because I thought, I just love it. And seeing the crowds being positive and seeing the coach being positive, I thought, that's all you can ever want. That's what we want to see. Other than, Paul wants to see punch-ups on the court, but other than
I don't want to see punch-ups on the court.
You want to see a little bit of spice,
right.
don't you?
I'm going to give you my snowflake warning. I've got a referee story here.
Oh, no. Got him.
And this is great. So this was National League. I mean, we're talking 20 years ago. National League.
Yes.
Now, there was... I'm not going to say the teams... I mean, this is so long ago. Is anyone going to care? I don't know where these guys are, so I don't want to stitch them up.
Yes.
Basically, there was a male referee and a female referee. They were pretty good referees. Young, free, single...
Yeah, I
great referees. They were all right. They were National League refs. They were good. And I mean, I'm saying we're playing, so we know it's going to be Portsmouth. So Portsmouth were playing, and we had well, I'm not going to say the away team because then you'd be able to narrow it down.
Yeah.
So we were playing an away team. Anyway, so at half time, there was an incident on the floor where basically there was a massive punch up between the two teams.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, if the refs were there, action's got to be taken. But basically, there were two players who were getting quite physical during the first half. That then turned verbal in the break. Few punches were thrown. Someone came down from the crowd as well, jumped in. A few of the players in the team jumped on each side. Bam, bam. All got broken up. Anyway, someone came out and we were like, where are the refs? And then someone's like, they're in one of the change rooms together.
Wow. In one of the change rooms
One of the change rooms together. Having a quiet...
They're enjoying a moment.
They're like going, let's talk about that first half. Yeah, girl.
Oh, yeah.
I like that call you made when you blew your whistle.
It wasn't the whistle they were swallowing.
Anyway, the refs were having
That's
a bit of fun in the change rooms, and whilst they were having fun, they could have ejected like
That's probably the wrong word.
They could have. No, I said ejected, Mark. They could have ejected 6 players from the court, and then they came back and everyone was like,
lovely.
You just missed this, but they didn't see it, so they couldn't do anything. Anyway, talking about that, because you've just gone there, I'm going to go, look, again, let's do this one more time. Jeez. Snowflake warning. If you get upset by words, turn off now.
Good.
Right. So I've told you about this, but this made me laugh. So this was a Filipino post about an NBA player. So, I mean, is it this week? Who went up to the ref and kind of just went right up to his face? Like, who was that? Was that... Anyway, that incident, what's his name?
Yeah. It's literally gone. It's done that. I'm going to wake up in the middle of the night and say his name now.
Well, anyway.
Oh, that's going to annoy me.
The Filipino news said, let's say his name's Mark Chester. Yeah. Was it a Raptors player?
My brain's gone. It wasn't DeMar DeRozan. I can't think who it was.
Anyway, they said, let's just say, for argument's sake, let's just say it was Mark Chester.
Yeah.
They went, Mark Chester gets ejaculated off the court. It's like, you've used the wrong word there.
Yeah. Someone check the English.
Yeah. That's the spell checker gone wrong, or it's like I can't look. I'm gonna see if anyone even is reading this.
As I'm about to say, the person who does that is like, you know what? Today, I'm just gonna quit. I'm not interested anymore. I'm done. So like, let's just change a few of these on the way out.
Oh, made me laugh.
Right. Before we finish up, I just want to do a quick over on the ENBL. Just take a minute, because we don't celebrate the ENBL enough. And for those of you who don't know, the ENBL is the European North Basketball League. And that's the one where they've designed it basically with like 15 teams, got it all together, because there was lots of teams who wanted to play in Europe, but were to get into Euro Cup, Euro League, there's like rules, etc. And they're like, well, we're ready, but you haven't got space to let us in. So they made this ENBL as like a way to compete, and then they formed it underneath. Anyway, look, Newcastle Eagles, they're the top of Group A.
Oh.
Yeah. And like 5-0 record in Europe. No one's talking about it. Like, why are we not saying, like, is it an English team playing against European teams, 5-0 record, top of our table in the NBL? So, like, massive respect to them for doing that. Romania, Slovakia, and Latvia are all teams that they've taken down, and they're not countries that have like, Slovakia, what sort of teams do they have? Really damn good teams. That's what they have. Like, they're competing against some really, really tough opposition. So it's unbelievable. But you know who else is in the NBL? Bristol Flyers. And they're in Group B. So they've had Denmark's Bakken Bears, Bamberg Baskets, and Poland's Legia Warsaw. And they even got a double overtime win against Czechia's Basket Brno. And it's like, they're all doing so well. Why is it not being covered a bit? Like, we're teams doing well. If it's football, Champions League, some random Premier club I don't care about is playing against, I don't know, Warsaw or whatever. They're past that everywhere. I couldn't give them monkeys. But here's actual English teams doing really well in Europe.
I'd imagine it will get publicised if they win the whole thing. That's when Sky Sports go, yeah, let's mention that. For 10 seconds.
Jump on the coattail for a second, and you just think, well, that's a bit of a shame. But they're probably going to lock their playoff berths.
Nice.
So Newcastle all got to do is maintain. But a 5-0 streak, I mean, that's a great start. And I if you look at that, and then you look at what they're both doing in the league, Bristol have now just gone up into the finals for the trophy. Newcastle are sitting up there in that top 3 position in the league, and they're competing in Europe. You've got to give them respect for that. London did it last year. Caledonia as well did it last year. And it's definitely an extra pressure that some of these other teams don't have.
Yeah.
So, yeah, massive
Huge
credits there.
shout out
Well
to
done.
them.
Yeah, brilliant stuff. So hopefully they carry on doing it, and we can see some more of these European teams, because then when they come over, more people get to see, the standard of the SLB is actually worth watching. It's worth looking into, because just people don't know about it.
You need to talk about it, Mark. When you get 2 players thrown out a team and there's an incident and we don't know anything that's happened.
No.
Well, not talking about that, you know.
I know, if it's illicit or shady or whatever, just a basic detail. We don't need grim details. But
people need to talk about it. It's got to be on the news. If it's not, people aren't going to know about the sport. So, that's...
If you have 2 professional sports people and all of a sudden they get ejected a couple of days after the team has had a defeat and gone out the trophy.
If this is football, not even Premiership, if this is English football, it should be all over the back papers, front papers, everywhere. Basketball's like little cloud.
Do you know what? I'm even going to say, I think even if it was cricket, I think that'd be in the papers.
It's just...
And there's only a selection of people who... I just don't get it. I don't understand why the media in the UK doesn't embrace basketball. There is something.
Because they're not in touch with the UK public, Mark. Yeah. It is the second most played sport for under 18s.
You know the word for that? Knobheads.
Wow.
Yeah.
Hang on.
Let's have a snowflake one on that.
If you don't like that word, go back and unlisten to it.
Go and unlisten to it. Clean out your ears.
Right. Are we done?
We're done. We're done for this week. And we've got more games coming up this week. Back down to the normal championship of the SLB. So stay tuned for that. Go on DAZN, which is doing a great job. Other they got sort of lighting out. Thank you for listening this week. I have been Mark.
I have been Paul, and I have actually got something for you. I forgot. If you play badminton, it's pretty much, I've got a new term for it. It's a picnic sport.
Picnic sport?
Picnic sport.
Okay.
And if you're a badminton coach, you're probably, in my mind, at the same level as a rock, paper, scissors coach. Okay, good night.
It's rock, paper, scissors, lizard, Spock. Come on.